Hey everyone, and welcome back to DME Decoded. I am your host, Henry June. I hope that you have accomplished your goals because 2026 is around the corner. Going into 2026, I hope that everyone has new goals that you are going to accomplish so that you can go in the new year swinging. On the last episode, we talked about how nurse expert witnesses can be used as a strategic advantage in the litigation process. On this episode, we're going to talk about how a nurse can transition from the bedside to the witness stand. I hope everyone has their cup of coffee ready. So, just to bounce off of what we talked about on the last episode, the nurse expert witness is not just a legal nurse consulting role. It's the pinnacle of being a nurse. You're able to use your expertise to your advantage using the clinical hours that you've put in to explain and expound upon what was the deviation of the standard care. Now, the transition from a bedside nurse to an expert witness on the stand is very long. You have to have your background experience, your expertise. Like for me, I'm a med-surg nurse. You also have other nurses that have expertise in ICU, ER, dialysis, you name it. You also have to know how to read medical records, how to stay objective, and how to prepare yourself to be on the stand. All those things take time. So don't rush if you are getting out of the bedside right now and wanting to automatically be on the stand to talk about the standard of care for a case for the plaintiff or the defense right off the bat. The first thing we're going to talk about is the foundation. This is the most important thing that a nurse can have so that they can move on to the next step. Alrighty, guys, I just want to let you guys know throughout this presentation, I will be using references from the fourth edition of the Legal Nurse Consulting Principles and Practice book and the Black's Law Dictionary. So, right off the bat, I know that you attorneys out there that are listening are going to appreciate this. So, in the Black's Law Dictionary, they define an expert as someone who, through education or experience, has developed skill or knowledge in a particular subject so that he or she may form an opinion that will assist the fact finder. One of the core skills as an expert nurse is that you must know the standards of care for the particular case that you are assisting the attorney in. And this standard of care knowledge must be a reflex. And what I mean by that is that the nurse must have the knowledge, the communication skills, the understanding to put fear upon the opposition and sprinkling in a little bit of persuasion before you testify going into the second part of this slide. You must have a strategic review of your skills. Are you able to review the medical records and decipher what's important and what's not important so you can create a strategic analysis? Skills that are frequently evaluated are formal education, continuing education, specialty training, consulting experience, presentation, teaching, and lecturing positions. On this slide, for advanced preparation, I am not saying that you have to do these two things. It will greatly benefit you in the long run. As a defense medical exam observer, it teaches you how to be objective, impartial to what you see in the medical examination. As I stated before, I love doing defense medical examinations because you get to see, you're like the fly on the wall that sees what happens in the medical examination process for personal injury, workers' compensation, or medical malpractice cases. You make sure that the insurance hired physician is not pulling a fast one on the clientele. If it is allowed, you video record or audio record. You document on your sheet of paper You timestamp everything, and then you make sure that the client feels comfortable and that they're not being berated. The other thing is that you can specialize and deep dive into specific injuries. You can become the unquestioned authority for that narrow field. Now we're going to talk about translation mastery. This pillar is about translating your expert LNC reports into a credible testimony. So when it comes to objective duty, the legal nurse consultant expert witness is bound to tell the truth, nothing more, nothing less, so that the attorney and the courtroom knows what the standard of care is. An example for what a a nurse expert witness would tell their attorney is that there was or was not any standard of care deviation that caused or contributed to the alleged injury. The expert report, it must be written precisely, citing specific texts, records. Now we're going to be talking about the deposition strategy. This is where the attorney is going to test your mettle on if you know what you're actually talking about. Because when you're in the courtroom, it is a back and forth. Yeah, the defense attorney might be friendly to you before you hit the stand, but it is dramatically different when you're there on the stand, being questioned, cross-examined. It can be psychological warfare when you're on the stand. When you are an expert, you want to stick to what you wrote down and what you know. And that defense attorney or plaintiff attorney might ask you questions that make you question yourself. However, you need to stick to your guns and stick with what you know. A great way to get the experience on the stand or see what actually happens is by going to mock trials. A great mock trial is coming up in March at the AALNC annual forum. You should check it out. Last but not least is simplify your terminology. As nurses, it should come second nature for us because we're educating patients all the time about complex diagnosis, complex wound care, you name it, we're doing for the patient in the hospital. So don't think that you have to change anything up when it comes to explaining things to the attorneys, paralegals, or even the client or the jury. You want to make sure that everyone understands what actually happened in the hospital or what you found in the records. Making the terminologies too complex when you're explaining things muddies the water for the client. And you want to make sure that you're giving your best shot to educate the jury, educate the judge, and those on the plaintiff and the defense side so that they can understand that the client should rightfully seek compensation or they shouldn't. Alrighty, guys, this is the last pillar, and that's business acumen. You must understand that being an expert nurse is a business. The attorneys are your partners that help build you up as a professional. Your professional structure must be streamlined for your LNC business to grow. Just like other LNC services, such as defense medical exam, observation, or medical record reviewing, expert witnesses have their own fees as well. Usually, as an expert witness, you have your retainer fee, your hourly fee, and you also have traveling, cancellation fees, and etc. With the contract, this shows the attorney that you are professional and reliable. Making sure that you cover all your bases shows the attorney that you are ready if you have a high stakes case. There are a lot of ways that you can market yourself as an expert witness. There are websites. You can also just go to the bar associations in your local area. In Florida, there are plenty bar associations, such as the Jacksonville Bar Association, the Orlando, Broward County. Look into these associations that have attorneys a part of them so that you can network and get your name out there so that you can and become the expert that you know the attorneys need to have. Set yourself apart. What makes you different than the other expert witness? Are you more detail oriented? Are you punctual? What makes you better? If you're an attorney that needs an observer at a defense medical examination in the state of Florida, reach out. You can email me, go to our website, or just subscribe, share, and like this video to show support. I appreciate every last one of you guys, and I hope to see you on the next video. Have a blessed day and have a fantastic 2 weeks, and I hope to see you on our Christmas video.